Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making an easy, delicious blueberry buckle. So let's get started. First off, set your oven to 375 so it's nice and hot, and now we're gonna make the streusel topping. In a medium bowl, combine half a cup of all-purpose flour, using 60 grams here, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 1 and 2, and a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. If you haven't had a buckle before, by the way, imagine a delicious cobbler with a cakey batter topped with a streusel topping. So you have crunchy, melt in your mouth, gooey berries. It's delicious. I also want 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you want to add other warming spices, I would go for a 1/4 teaspoon of each. Our scale is done. We're gonna give this a whisk just to mix it all up. And by the way, if you like my recipes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's 2 new videos every single week. And now to bring it all together, 2 tablespoons of softened butter. I'm gonna cut this into some pieces first. And now you can work the butter in with a fork or your fingers or both. You wanna have it nice and crumbly. Buckles, by the way, are a traditional American dessert. They're from colonial times, and they're named after the way the cake buckles from the texture on the top. I broke the butter up with my fork as much as I can, and now I'm gonna use my clean fingers and just crumble it up. And this part can be done like a day in advance if you want, just to have things stepped out. So this can live in the refrigerator after it's made. I know a lot of times we don't have consecutive minutes to make a recipe happen, so you have to like find time and get pieces done where you can. It's nice and crumbly, and I can gather some with my hand, and it'll hold its shape, so I know that it's ready to go into the fridge, and we can go on with the next step. Now, in a larger bowl, we're gonna make the batter for this, starting with 1.5 cups or 180 grams of all-purpose flour. To puff things up, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 and 2. A teaspoon of salt for contrast. And now our scale is done, and we can grab a whisk. Mix it up. This recipe comes together so quickly, and it's really nice to make when you find those delicious, really flavorful blueberries. Now it's time to grab your stand mixer or a large bowl if you're using a hand mixer. You've really got to have butter in a dessert. So 1/2 cup of softened butter. You can see my finger goes in there really easily. It's nice and bendy. And if you're making this on a cold day, don't even think about room temperature butter, just pop it into the microwave, half power, 10-second bursts until it's nice and soft. To my butter, I'm adding 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. And in my humble opinion, blueberries and lemon go hand in hand. The lemon flavor will just wake the blueberries up and give you like a nice lift. So I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons about of lemon zest. And if you don't have a microplane in your kitchen, you should get one. Perfect for zesting citrus, and you can use it to like shave beautiful clouds of hard cheese like Parm or Pecorino Romano. You always want to add zest in early in the recipe so that the mixing, in this case with the sugar, will express those oils out and really give you a ton of flavor. If you added it in right at the end, wouldn't be the same. It's time to mix this up, so pop your paddle attachment on and go to medium speed for 2 to 3 minutes until it is nice, light, and fluffy. While this mixes up, go ahead and crack 2 eggs into a small bowl so you can make sure there are no shells in your buckle. 1 and 2. Now we're gonna add the eggs in one at a time. And just as usual, you will scrape the bowl down after the first egg. It's actually mixing very well, but I'm gonna scrape it down anyways, because at the very bottom, you can see there's some light colored, denser butter with no egg mixed in. So we gotta scrape it down so it mixes really nicely. And egg number 2. That looks lovely. And by the way, your buckle will last 3 days in an airtight container on the counter or up to 2 months in the freezer. Just make sure they're wrapped really well. 2 teaspoons of vanilla will give us a little extra flavor that I never say no to. And now we're gonna have our mixer on the lowest setting and add the flour, alternating with the milk. So 3 flours, 2 milks. Third of the flour, half of the milk, a third of the flour, the rest of the milk, and the rest of the flour. Okay, mostly mixed in. I'm gonna scrape the bowl down and give it one final mix with my spatula. And just like that, this buckle is almost done. Towards the bottom, you'll find some of the less floury parts. So really just scrape it down and make sure it's all nicely mixed. In this bowl, I have 2.5 cups of beautiful, delicious, fresh blueberries. If you wanted to use frozen blueberries, you can, but they're gonna bleed into the batter, so you won't have that same play of colors. They'll still be tasty though. Just use unthawed blueberries and you're gonna add a few minutes of bake time. I'm reserving half a cup for the top. The rest of the 2 cups go right into our batter, and I'm just gonna fold these in. This recipe, by the way, gives blueberry coffee cake vibes. The textures are gonna be different, and honestly, this is an easier recipe to make. Now, we're gonna grab our cold streusel, have our reserved blueberries, and an 8 by 8 inch baking dish that I've lined with parchment. Grease it with butter or some baking spray. And just to make things really easy to get out, I'm adding a parchment cradle, which is just a sheet of parchment paper that comes up so you can pull your dessert out. Transfer your batter into your prepared pan. Now we're gonna smooth the batter out with an offset. Just get it all the way towards the edge. And I like to see some texture on top. So grab big handfuls of your streusel, press it together in a lump, and then you're gonna break it apart into smaller, more manageable pieces. Now we're gonna sprinkle this on top. And don't forget your reserved blueberries for the top. Just sprinkle those evenly over. Lovely, our buckle is ready to go into the oven, 375 for 50 to 55 minutes or until it's nice and golden and a skewer inserted in the center comes out clean. In you go. Allow your buckle to cool for at least 20 minutes, then we can take it out, look how handy that parchment is, and give it a slice. And by the way, just take a look at that buckled texture. Give it a slice, and just like that, it's ready to enjoy. On the inside, it's melt in your mouth, moist and amazing. The top is crunchy and sugary, and it is just a delightful play of flavors. I hope you get a chance to make this easy and delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my easy dessert playlist.